travelers, and welcome to the Traversing the Stars podcast. Today's special guest is Oyin Oladejo, who plays Joann Owosekun on Star Trek Discovery and a bounty hunter on Six Guns for Hire. Now come join me as we go Traversing the Stars. Hello, Miss Oladejo. Thank you so much for coming to the Traversing the Stars podcast. I'm a big fan of yours.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you really for having me.
This is actually a great honor for me. I'm a huge fan of Star Trek Discovery, and your character kicks ass. So it's a very big deal that you're coming to my show.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you.
So a question I usually do ask of my guests, especially the actors, is what inspired you to become an actor, and who were your earliest influences?
Oh my God. The funny thing is, and this has been a huge struggle for me even now. I didn't plan to be an actor. I stumbled into it, and several times I've tried to quit because I I assumed that people always knew what they wanted to be when they were younger, and I wanted to be a lawyer, but somehow life happened, and I was working at the Canadian Opera Company here in Toronto as a box office person, and I got promoted to being a supervisor. And part of the things you get about in being a supervisor is you get to see some of the shows for free. And I saw my first opera ever in my life. And I said, that's what I want to do. They seem to be having fun. That's what I want to do. So I kind of stumbled into it. And I'm still struggling with it because the kid part of me never thought about being an actor. And now the adult part of me is fully into it. So I'm just still balancing that out.
Well, apparently fate made the right call with you, because you're killing it right now.
God bless you.
So apparently the path you chose was the correct one so far.
Yes.
And I will say, as someone who did not, I'm a teacher now, but I never determined to be a teacher growing up. I was going to be a paleontologist.
Oh, wow.
And then I decided to become a teacher. So I will just say, what you want to do as a kid isn't always the right choice. And apparently as the adult, you thought better.
Yes. So the struggle, I will have to let go of the struggle then, because it seems to be fitting into me, who I am.
Apparently, let the struggle die and do this. Apparently, you made the right call.
I like that. I'm gonna put that on my wall. Let the struggle die.
Indeed.
Yes.
So your story of your life is amazing. So you grew up in Nigeria, and at the age of 16, you moved to Canada. Now, how significant is that move from Nigeria to Canada in how you found the path in your life?
Huge. The life that I lived in Nigeria, like within my own family, and this is not speaking of all Nigeria, was very, very sheltered. And so the exploration of what it meant to be myself and art, art was what kids did as their pastime, right? And so coming to Canada and then seeing another world of art being used as a form of profession or a career or following your passion, that's just one huge difference between my growing up in Nigeria and coming here. So the journey to coming to Canada really broke open completely what it means to be an individual and choosing your path in life. I said I stumbled onto it, but I feel like coming to Canada gave me a burst of freedom to not make any solid decision and just say, what if? And then those what ifs led to here. But on several levels, like the move from Nigeria here opened my world up to so many things. And I'm a very, very spiritual person. I came from a very Muslim, environment. And so I didn't hear too much about a different type of spirituality. And so coming to Canada, it's like my world blew open as well. You have Buddhism, you have Hinduism, you have all of these things from all over the world that my own sheltered life didn't allow me to have access to. So the move from Nigeria to here is a huge, I love my home. I can't wait to go back to Nigeria and, establish a life there too. It's just two different worlds that I think contributed to the complex human being that I've become now.
Well, I was just going to point out that having lived in Nigeria and Canada, you must have a very interesting worldview perspective on things. And as an actor who, once again, trying to find character, trying to find motivation, trying to find perspectives, must give you an edge to have this great wider worldview that most of us, like people like me who spend most of their almost entire life in this one country and this one experience,
Right.
Don't have. So that must give you an
Right.
edge as an actor fighting characters.
You know what? God bless you for saying that. And that's the one thing I am so thankful for, that I spent a huge chunk of my life in Nigeria, a completely different culture, a different society, different way of looking at things. And then coming here, and it's completely different. So I have these two worlds to pick from. But what that did as well is it made me curious to other worlds, because I have two worlds in my pocket, and I'm curious about what other worlds are there. So my interest in art takes me to like Turkish art, Chinese arts and things like. And this is where I pull my creative sources from. Like majority of the films and series I watch are mostly foreign, and picking different ticks from their characters, and just different cultural nuances that you don't necessarily find in one culture. I am so blessed to have been open to that. And sometimes the trouble with that sometimes is certain directors don't know where to place you, because you come with something too different than what they're used to. Or I go for auditions, and the way I do it is just way too different than the norm. And so it's hard for you. Sometimes I find that it's hard for you to be cast. And it's so funny, all of the TV and film stuff I've done has all been like sci-fi and otherworldly. So that tells you something,
Well, I mean, I think that's awesome. And if you don't mind, I would love to explore, you said how you approach rehearsal differently. Because I mean, obviously, whatever you're doing is working. You're in Star Trek Discovery. You have an upcoming movie we'll talk about shortly. So like, how is your approach different? And if nothing else, how are you approaching a character differently?
Just going back to these two worlds, being in Nigeria and being in Canada, just from a basic level, when I bring that approach to a character, I try to embody the character from a very Nigerian perspective, from like if I placed that character in that world and then place that character in this world, and then something else happens in that merging, something new and different happens. And so because I have access to a completely different world, I can pull the character away from what has already been written and try to apply it to a different world. And it just gives you something new, something different. And I'm usually excited. I don't know what it will bring, but I'm usually excited for it. And so I don't necessarily play what is seen. I wish I could, to be honest. Sometimes I wish I could, because I'll be getting a lot more work, but it allows me to explore the characters that I do get in a very unique way. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, it sounds like an argument between quality and quantity.
Like
you're adding quality to your characters and a voice of uniqueness, which I think, in my opinion, I mean, obviously I don't have to worry about, I'm not the one looking for jobs or whatever, but I assume that's better than the quantity of the work, is that the art that you're producing is unique, and in that case, better. At least in my opinion.
You know what? I mean, God bless you for saying better. This is also, it can be to my detriment, and God bless my agent for sticking with me for all these years. But I try in my life and also in my work to bring authenticity, and sometimes to bring authenticity costs something, it delays, it's not time efficient sometimes, and so being unique and authentic. I mean, we're already naturally unique in we're just all different. But I want to be able to show that uniqueness. I want to be able to like bring that to light, so that people can be like, oh, there's something different about her. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know, but I'm actually really interested in that, to see what else I can bring to my work that is different from what I see. Good or bad, I just want something different.
Well, Lisa, I think that's fantastic. And I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true or not, that prior to getting the role in Star Trek Discovery, you had almost quit acting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I mean, once again, fortuitous that it happened when it did, but I can't imagine, the talent not doing something with that.
Not doing what? Sorry.
Not doing something with the talent that you have,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
that you kept with it, and how fortuitous it was is that you, once again, if the story is true that I read, is that you were told to set up a audition video for
Mhm,
something you didn't know what it was. You submitted
mhm.
it, and it's Star Trek Discovery.
Yes. That's honestly, I had just finished a theater show here in Toronto, and I just didn't understand why the work we put into the theater work does not, like, the financial benefit of what you get from theater and the work you put in theater is like, they don't go hand in hand. And I'm like, I can't live my life like this. This idea of struggling artist thing, it's not right. Dealing with racial stuff, all these things. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. If I was getting paid a lot of money, maybe that would use to like compensate the struggle,
Always does.
So I got to and I was going out for lots of film and TV auditions, but nothing. I was getting nothing. I wasn't getting anything. And so to me, I assumed, oh, maybe the world of TV and film is not for me,
Mm.
because I wasn't getting it and I'm not seeing enough of myself out there. So maybe it actually is not for me. And theater, as much as I love it, it's not satisfying the stability, financial stability that I need. So I'm done. And it's just the heartache in it was just too much for me to bear. And I decided I'm gonna quit acting because
Mm.
I wasn't in the film and TV world at all, right?
Right.
So I'm like, and so I moved to Vancouver with my friend at the time, and I stayed with her, just trying to figure out what was happening in my life. What do I want to go back to school for? I didn't
Mm.
know all of these things. And I said to my agent, I'm leaving. She said, take some time, don't just rush into it. I took about a month and then told her, yes, I'm leaving. And just like a few days later, I think, or maybe the same day, she said, there's an audition. Do you want to do it? And in my head, I'm like, I'm quitting anyway. Might as well just do it to satisfy her, give her that one audition. And I honestly didn't know what it was. The language was not just regular speak. It was like captain this, captain that. I'm like, what is this world? And I was not introduced to the sci-fi world. I didn't know anything about sci-fi world.
Mm.
So I just did it. And a few days later, she's like, they want you and you may have to fly back to Toronto within 2 weeks. I said, wait, what? And that's how it happened. And then since then, I've been with Star Trek. And this was 2019. No, 2017.
I mean, it's amazing that your agent had that kind of faith to be like, no, 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 stick with this for a little while longer. This is gonna work for you. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure they get paid on commission of when you work. They probably were like, most people would be like, whatever, I'll get commission
I
elsewhere. But
know.
this one was like, no, 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 no. This is gonna happen. Stick with it, and it happened. Jesus.
Yes. And that's why I say God bless my agent. I love this woman dearly. She's been with me since I graduated school.
Yeah.
And I'm not an easy client. I know that because, again, like I say, I want to be authentic. And sometimes being authentic goes against the way the business is run, right?
Mm.
So she knows me well, and she understands sometimes I can do things in haste. And she's like, no, no, pause for a second, make sure this is what you want to do. But in that time of waiting and not deciding, she was still sending me out for stuff, right? So if I had said, no, I'm done, she wouldn't send me out for anything.
Right.
And I wouldn't have gotten this audition,
Right.
So I'm so, it's miracles.
It seems like I said, your life seems to be surrounded by fortune,
Yes.
at least fate.
Yes.
And so there's Star Trek, which is one of the biggest franchises in the entire world. And you were not aware of it at the time of what it was when you got the part of what Star Trek was?
I had heard of Star Trek, but I actually didn't know how big Star Trek was. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as franchise. Does that make sense? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
And also, like, you have to understand that me coming from Nigeria, sure, it's been years, a decade and over. It takes you a while to readjust to a completely new society and a way of thinking and the culture. So the pop culture of this society, I knew nothing of, right? And And so I'd heard of Star Trek, Star Wars. I'm like, they're in line. I'm like, I don't know what that world is. It's a sci-fi world. I don't do science, so it's not my world, right? So I don't, but then I got it and they're like, it's Star Trek. And I told my friend, I'm like, I just got a gig and it's Star Trek, and they lost their mind. They're like, Star Trek? I'm like, why is this such a big deal? And it's not until a year after being on the show, going to the Comic-Con, that I really fully understood the magnitude of what I am a part of. I feel honored. This is what I want to do with my life. And I'm not just saying it because I want to big up Star Trek. It aligns with me as a human being, my spirituality. I want to explore stories about our origin, creation, about superhuman powers, and other people, other beings in the galaxy. We're not the only one. We must be stupid as humans to think we're the only ones, you know?
I agree 100%.
There's so much out there, and I want to explore that. But apart from exploring that, it's like, what is the relationship between otherness, right? What is the relationship between people, me coming from Nigeria and understanding this world, us going to, a different planet and experiencing a different race. And what does that mean? It aligns perfectly with my life's mission. So, yeah.
I mean, I think one thing that I personally love about Star Trek Discovery is that there's a great consciousness on the show. It explores a lot of groups that are not often recognized on television.
Yes.
Trans, different cultural backgrounds, all this stuff. And it's a very important value, I think, to a show that does that, not only because of the people who already are, connected with that and are watching the show for that reason, but a lot of people who connect to it just because it's Star Trek and are being brought into it.
Yes.
Now, as someone who's on that show, how does that feel to be about part of something that has such cultural importance and potential impact?
It's again, like I said before, it's an honor, but it's also there's a responsibility that comes with it. I believe that you can't be a part of a show, especially, I mean, I'm not knocking different jobs or with art specifically, we are storytellers. Like if even in painting, music, you're telling a story. You're telling a story of a time or of a subject, or you're telling something, you're giving something out there. And so I believe, this is just my thing, other artists might kill me for this, but I believe if you become a part of your show, if you say yes to a show, not just as a job, you have to, if the show has a moral, if it has a moral implication, the person in that show, you have to live up to it, your person has to live up to. So for me, it's not just telling the stories and making it out and giving it to the audience so that they see the world we would like to be in, and raise questions and challenge yourself, but also as an actor, I want to be able to go away knowing that the show has changed me as a human being, and I then reflect that change in life. Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine the amount of personal pressure it does cause the individual, the actor, because once again, in the world of Star Trek, as someone who's big fans, and there's obviously millions and millions of fans out there, there does seem to be, and because the fan base is so hardcore, there's sometimes a line that gets blurred with fans between the actor and the character. Right. So when you're playing that character, you have kind of a responsibility on some level as the actor to maintain that level of personal responsibility, openness, and everything else that the character is supposed to possess. Yes. As a individual, is that a lot of weight on your shoulders to carry?
I can see how it can be a lot of weight, but because of the type of person I am and the type that when I say that a type of person I am, I'm always seeking to change. I'm always seeking to grow and become better. And I'm sure everybody is. But sometimes mine goes, whoa. I'm like, how can I become a better human being right now? Go help me. But for me, no, it's not it's not a burden for me specifically. It's a challenge sometimes because um, when you're working with a whole bunch of people, you can't expect to get along with everybody, and you want to be the best person in that moment. But an episode says love all and whatnot, but in a certain moment in real life, you can't love the person in front of you because they're driving you nuts. And in your own sex. It's like, so how do you navigate that? And so in little moments, yeah, it can be a challenge, but uh, um, from a bigger perspective, I welcome the challenge. I want every show I am on to challenge me and my soul. I want that.
So on the show you play, and I'm going to try to get the name right, Joann Owosekun.
Yes.
All right, good.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you so much. Once again, it was a fantastic character. When you received the role, what background information they give you about the character? What did you have to maybe create for yourself as a background for that character prior to actually filming the role?
Oh no, oh God. There was, and this is, I mean, of course, and they wouldn't know because this was the show starting and they don't know what these characters would be. And so I did not know. I just knew that I was, and thankfully that role has already been established, an operations, officer. It's already established. So I just need to go back and watch other shows and see what they've done. But in terms of like my Owo's character arc, I mean, I knew what my job was at that station and, for the ship, but my character arc, nobody knew, neither did I. I just, in my mind, I wanted to do my job well. And so the thing I focused on was making sure that every button I pressed had had a function, and I remember the function, so that when they say shields up, there's a particular button for shields, so that was my way in at the very beginning. I just wanted to do my job well because I didn't know what my character arc was, and over time I started to add layers to it based on my relationship with, the other cast members and whatnot. And so I started to add little layers to it. It's like, okay, Detmar and Owo, they have a relationship there. Okay, how can I build on that? But of a soul character arc, I didn't have any, and they didn't have any to give me yet. But just like a relationship, as we started working together, I started to pick, define my relationship with my castmate and play from there.
Well, one thing that was developed on your character is that, and I'm not sure, once again, I remember it correctly, is that the character comes from a family of very, I think they pronounce it Luddites, very anti-science individuals. And part of the arc is that the parents were very afraid that their daughter was going to go off to Starfleet in choosing her own path away from them.
Right.
Now, when that was finally established for your character,
yes,
how did that inform you going forward? And did that change, like I said, how you were approaching different moments on the show?
It's so funny. It's like sometimes you make choices and then later on it aligns. So I don't know where it started and how I don't know if it started with me picking things from my castmate and then they write a character that fits that, or they had already known that it was that, and then it just worked out perfectly because me not knowing my arc, depending on my castmate and building a relationship there. And then when the Luddite information came out, I'm like, oh, it made perfect sense because now I am relying on the family that I've chosen now. I've chosen a different family than the one that I had before. And so I am building that relationship with them. In my work as an actor, but also in the character as well, is like, oh, I am solidifying this new family because I left a family, and it seamlessly worked out. It didn't feel like anything jarring or anything really new. It just feels like an extension of what was already happening. Yeah,
and I feel like it also added a lot of weight to the season 2, season 3 bridge, where the character chose to go into the future, abandon the family, abandon what understood of Earth, because once again, with that idea established, it makes sense that she didn't abandon anyone. She went with her family,
Yeah.
and I think that was just so perfect.
Yeah.
And I think another thing I think was fantastic is that over time they've created a bond between you and the character Kyler Detmer, or your
Yes.
character. I don't sorry to say your character and Kyler Detmer. I got also guess apparently separate you from the character as well.
Sometimes I can't. I said Oyin, and we both have the same letters to start. Oyin.
And I think once again your interactions with the character or the actor who plays Kyler Detmer is fantastic. Has there been discussions about that character, that relationship being developed further on the show?
I mean, the world has been talking about it. Emily and I have talked about it, and the people, the producers, they've talked about it, and they talked about it before in the past, but it just didn't align well. And it's gotten to a point where right now everyone expects like Owo and Detma to have a relationship, and I'm like, that is now too obvious. I'm like, I wish they would write something that hits us out of left field, something that we would not even have imagined. But the I am so happy to have Emily as my cast mate, like our duo relationship there, because we balance each other so well, and in real life too, our characters are so similar. Well, actually, I am more like I'm more like Oyin is more like Detmer, and Owo is more like Emily in real life. So Emily is the one that is like calming me down in real life.
Yeah.
Owo is like frantic, and Oyin is frantic and whatnot, and then Emily calms me down. And then Detmar is a little bit more, frantic, and then Owo calms her down. We kind of switch, but that relationship, as we developed, as my arc grew, that anchored me. It anchored me because I felt like I had a friend in the ship, like I had a friend, like a best friend on the ship. And so whether that goes into romance or a deepening of a friendship, I don't know where that's going to go. But my relationship with Detmer, Owo's relationship, anchors Owo immensely.
One thing is kind of cool about I've had the fortune of interviewing some people from Discovery before. I interviewed Patrick,
Okay.
and I've also interviewed Noah, who, if listeners don't know, is married to Mary Wiseman.
Yes.
And the one thing that everyone keeps coming back to is that the connection in real life of the people on the show is actually tight. It's not manufactured, because sometimes you have this manufacturer, everyone has to do like, we love each other so much, we're such a tight group, but then in real life you find, especially when it shows off the air, you're like, no, they actually hated each other. That was all bullshit. But from my understanding, it actually is legit that the people on the show in real life are friends.
Yes. And I mean, it's unfortunate. One, I'm a hermit, and two, I live in Toronto, and most of the cast are American. And so they're all in the States hanging out, and while the Canadians cannot hang out with them. But no, when we're all together, it is I don't know how Star Trek did it specifically for Discovery. They picked some weird people. They picked some really weird people. Every single one of us are wild we seem tapered and composed when you're watching us, but when you get us together, we're like high school kids. We're wild, and it's that love, and I think if we don't have that in real life, to be honest, I don't think you'll be able to see it in the show. You need that bond so that you don't have to manufacture it, right? And so I don't know how they picked all of us, but we all jive well. We really jive well.
So because you guys are so tight in real life, what does it allow for from an actor's perspective, from an individual's perspective, when you're doing the actual show? How does that translate? I mean, is there a freedom as an actor to know that they have your back a little bit? Or if you do something, you make a decision that's really bad, they don't go, you freaking idiot. They're just like, yeah, no, that's fine. Let's try this, something else. It's a little more tight.
Yes. And this is the thing that I'm thankful for. And I know we are sensitive as artists, because we're creating something, so it's coming from within us. So we've put our soul and our ego and pride, everything into it. And so when somebody comes at you and say, why don't you do this differently? You're like, screw you. Who are you? You're an actor like me, but no, that bond allows us to be there for each other. I mean, there are times when, you can't be perfect, but there are times when, because sometimes I have issues with my speech, or like I tell myself that I have issues with my speech. And so sometimes we get like this science talk, and I just want to rush through it to just get it out. And sometimes you have someone like, Emily or even Siniqua, would tell me or come to me and be like, just slow down a little bit, or they will help me with the line and they will say, why don't you break it up this way? And I am so thankful for that. Like, I am not sensitive about that because I do want to do my best work. And so them having the courage to correct me is one thing I am grateful for, because most artists wouldn't, I'm not most artists, but I feel like a lot of actors won't do that for each other because they're scared of stepping on people's toes, right? But I want that. I want to be the best that I can. And if you notice that I can do it better, please tell me. And we do.
Well, I think not today's episode, but the last week's episode had one of the coolest episodes for your character. And it's honestly, I think one thing about that episode is that it really gave your character a chance to shine.
Yeah.
And I always like it on Discovery when they let the rest of the cast have, shine bright.
Yeah.
And you got to do some really kick-ass hand-to-hand combat in the ring. Was that difficult? Was that difficult to shoot? Did you already know how to beat people up prior to the scene?
Well, I think because of my fierceness and because of my jokes. To be honest with you, I love using my body. I love I used my body a lot back home, and then when I came here, it just didn't, and then in the past few years, I've taken, better control of my body and start using it. But sports and martial arts stuff, even I'm not a professional in any of these things, but these things excite me. Like, I love watching films. Like, I love, the Marvel fighting stuff, anything Asian kung fu stuff, like all of those things. I love them. And I had asked, Michelle and them, like, I would love to use my body more. I didn't know in what capacity I would use my body on the ship, right? We're science vessel. And then this happened. This happened. It was I read it and I almost screamed, because I'm like, this is all I've always wanted. And in a ring too, in a ring. Come on, it's like Gladiator, modern version of Gladiator here. It was such a wonderful experience working with the stunt coordinator, the stunt team. They gave me some spectacular things to do because they trusted that I could do it. I mean, some of them I'm like, okay, maybe you need to like go to a bring this one down a level, but they saw the way I moved and they catered the fight to how I moved. And my goodness, it was exhausting. I'm not gonna lie, it was exhausting. And because I'm fighting like I don't know, how tall was it? 6'8" or something? He was tall.
He was a big guy. That's for
he
damn
was
sure.
A big guy.
I would not be in the ring with that guy. That's for damn sure.
Yes, but one of the things my stunt coordinator, Chris McGuire, said is, because you're fighting a huge guy, right? You need to sell that your punch can actually impact him. So if you punch and you don't put all your effort into it, it's gonna look like you just doing that, right? Because he's a huge guy. If it was somebody that's my same size, I can throw a little bit and it won't seem odd. So everything I did, every punch had to have my full impact. And so I was exhausted. I think I crashed the next day. They were like, don't come into work for a couple of days. I crashed. We shot that scene in the ring and all that the fight sequence a whole day. It took the whole day to shoot all of that.
I do. This is gonna be an important question for anyone listening, probably, because you were trying so hard. Did any of the shots land? Did you actually make contact and actually hit this guy a few times?
Yes, he came in
Oh,
the
no.
next day. Yes, he came in and he showed me the bruises he
Oh,
had on his
no.
body because they told me go hit impact hard, and I did. But no, but this is the skill of being a stunt person, which I still need to work on. To be able to sell all of that without actually hurting your partner. But he's a big guy. He said he was fine, but I saw the bruises. I landed a few on him.
You know, I'll wager when no one was looking, he was probably crying. He was like, she hit me so hard.
Yes, yes,
Probably made
yes.
that big guy cry, and he just didn't want to
Yes,
admit to it.
but he don't want to show that. He doesn't want to show that.
Of course not. Of course not. We're
No.
male ego. We're not allowed to say that the woman beat the crap out of us on the ring. So there's one moment, and I'm not sure. I mean, I might have read the moment wrong. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. So I'm going to ask you. There's a moment when you're fighting in the ring, right?
Mhm.
And the character Burnham is on is outside, kind of being like your ring manager, and she first coaches you to say something, and your character, you turn around and kind of give her a look.
Yes.
Now I'm trying to me, my the look was shut the hell up. I know what I'm doing. But was I wrong? Was that the look you're going for? Was that
Okay, okay. Okay. Being honest here, I've not seen the episode.
Oh
and
no.
and I'm not sure if I am going to watch it because I don't like watching myself. But I don't know how they cut it. But that look you're talking about, it was when she said Joann, oh wow, Owosekun. When she said, oh wow, I turned and gave her a look like, where did that come from? But I don't know how they cut it, and I don't know how that sells. But to me, when I turned was when she said, Joann, oh wow. I was like, oh wow, who is that? Yes, that was that look.
Well, now you got to go and watch the episode so you can send me an email and say this is what it was to you. So I can be like, so we can announce it so the character becomes canon that's what you were saying to Burnham. You're captain
Yes.
you're captain of all people.
Yes.
So if you have time, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the movie that you're in as well.
Yes.
But before we get there, I just want to ask the bridge question, which is just so for the listeners of the show who obviously are watching for Star Trek Discovery, what can you give them, or can you give any update to what they may see in future episodes, or are we hush hush on this?
I wish Michelle Paradise was here. She knows how to do vague very well. Vague very well. I you're in for a surprise. 10C will blow your mind. I mean, I'm sure it's already blowing people's mind, but what 10C is will blow your mind is all I'm going to say.
Now, are we going to get any more episodes that get to have more focus on your character?
There are episodes coming up that focuses on other bridge crew. Actually, looking forward to I believe it's episode 11 with Detmer. Oh my goodness, I'm already saying like that's there are few episodes coming. There's only a few left, but the few episodes coming up, you see an exploration of other bridge crew. I think episode 8 was my big moment, but well, more of the others.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to speak for the entire fan base because I can at the moment because I'm here and they're not, and say that I think everyone really does like it when the crew gets explored. Yeah, because I really feel like there's so much richness in that crew that unfortunately the season is so short. But I feel like there's so much there in that crew, and your character and whatnot, that we just want to see more and more of those characters explored.
Yes. No, and I agree with you. And I think we all think the same, as well as the writers and the producers. It's, I mean, as an actor, you're like, I want more to do. But then the more I sit back and try to understand the bigness of what Star Trek is and the story they're trying to tell and the things they're trying to include. And it's, you already have, you have Burnham, you have Saru, you have Culber, you have Stamets, you have Adira, you have all of these people, and they have their own storylines. You have Tilly, you know, they have their storylines that need to be fleshed out. And I used to complain about there being a lot of episodes in a season, you know, like if I saw like a 20-something episode, I'm like, maybe there should be a 20-something episodes in order to actually fully flesh everybody out.
Hmm.
But as a supporting cast, of course, I want more. But I know they're chipping away at it in order to satisfy everybody, but also to like, you know, stay true to the story they want to tell. You know.
I think, I mean, I think the only solution here, and I think it's a good solution. First,
Yeah.
it comes in two parts. First, way more episodes per season. That's the way
Yes.
they got to do it. I think 25 is fine. But you got to have to do it, so 25 is fine. And second, I think they need a spin-off show where they follow these other characters during the season. I think that's the only solution there is.
You
And
know what?
you got to do it.
That I like. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
not complaining about the 25 episodes. Yeah, sure, yes. That I like the spin-off, right? The spin-offs
Yes,
will be able to tell small, you know, extended.
anthologies.
Yes,
That'd be perfect.
yes.
So if you can get Michelle to listen to the episode, make this happen. This is on you now.
Okay,
The
okay,
responsibility's on you.
done, Michelle Paradise.
So as I mentioned before, you're also in the new movie called Six Guns for Hire, which
Yes,
is the third movie in a trilogy.
yes.
Now, the trilogy is being filmed by Matthew Campagna, which I think I'm pronouncing correctly. Can you give our listeners a little bit about it and how important is watching the third movie, the first two movies, to understanding what you're doing in the third movie?
I'm not actually in any of the first two.
Right.
And I think I think he's trying to do 6 of them. I
Oh,
think this is
Jesus.
3 of, if I understand, I don't know if he's changed that.
Yeah.
But the story, it's a weird one. Again, it's like a sci-fi. You know, it's sci-fi. I feel like that's my niche. That's the world I'm going to be playing forever. But it's like a post-apocalyptic world with different races and different, like, humans hybrid with machine and all of these things. And I play a bounty killer who goes on a journey. Well, I mean, you see them at the beginning. It's a bank robbery. They've been hired to, not bank, sorry, train robbery. They've been hired to, rob this train, and then they go away to split the money, and then people start dying. And then it's almost like a weird post-apocalyptic whodunit, but also confrontation of, the issues that we face on Star Trek too, like different races, hybrid. How do you deal with somebody that's been augmented with, machine and things like that? Are they less than you? Are they less human? Are they more human? It's so all of these big questions are being tackled in this weird, beautiful world. And I love my character. I loved playing that character. I mean, it was shot during COVID, so we weren't able to be there as a full team filming it. We shot in little portions, but it was such a fun experience. Fun experience.
So in the movie, you play a bounty hunter, which once again is another kick-ass character. So can you tell us a little about your role specifically, and how much ass kicking do you get to do in the movie?
I don't get to do as much ass kicking, but I'm sure Matt one day will give me something else that is much more ass kicking. But my costume is just otherworldly, because I am one of those people that is part machine, and so the way I was, the makeup was, I cannot wait for it to come out. But I was riding a motorcycle, wielding a big gun. Not that I'm a fan of, shooting or anything, but like wielding a big gun and on a motorcycle. That was a pretty badass look.
Well, luckily I get to talk to, I think I'm talking to Mark next month.
Okay.
So I get to tell him, you need to put Miss into way more, Miss Oladejo into way more scenes. Let her kick some ass. You gotta let it happen. So yes. I'll see if I can push it for the next movies for you. Yes.
Yeah, just sell me to people that you think could give me work as being a badass person. Yes.
That's what this is what my podcast will be from this point forward. We'll be trying to get you into much more kick-ass roles. So yes. So in this movie, with you is Patrick Kwok-Choon from Discovery. Now, is that just a happy accident? Is that just more indication of how tight you all are? I mean, how did that come about?
It's so funny because Matt as well is with my agency, but I don't think as an actor, but probably as a director, and I'm not exactly sure, but he's with our agency. So, and Patrick and I are with the same agent, and so we he saw that we're working together, and we worked well together, and Matt hired us both because we already have a rapport, and so why not?
Well, like I said, I can't wait to see it. It's sort of gonna be like Star Trek in the holodeck. You know, these characters that you recognize are now get to be in a movie of, you know, like this, and it just sounds so cool. And like I said, I'm a big fan of yours, big fan of with Patrick and Discovery as well. And it's just really cool to see you guys in for the movie. It's sort of like a oh, I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know the rest. If you know the Rat Pack from back in the 30s and 40s when he had Sinatra and all that, where you guys are now being movies together and doing different things, but all the same cast doing stuff. I thought that would be so bad.
Watch, there's gonna be a third thing that we both do together that is in that world again. That type of sci-fi world. Yes.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, when the next time I try to talk to you, like, oh, by the way, make another movie. I have some character actors for you.
There's Patrick. There's Oyin.
So when do we know when Six Guns for Hire is going to make it to theaters, or is it going to be streaming only?
I don't have that information. I am so sorry. I
no
actually don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Like I said, when it does come out, we'll try to update it on the YouTube. We'll try to update it on the website.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you. But like I said, it's so cool. And I how many episodes do we have left of Discovery before that ends the season?
I think there's probably 3 left.
3?
Because I think 3 left, because I think today's Thursday. I think there's episode 10 is tonight, I believe. And then there's 13 episodes in total. So yeah, there's only 3 left. Wow, it's so weird. It's so weird. You do all these filming for about a year. It takes half a year to like do post, and then it takes like, I don't know, less than 3 months to air it all, and it's done. And you're like, wait, what?
Until they hear the episode and increase the episode count.
Exactly.
You know,
25. We'll take 23. You know,
23. Okay, well, we'll go. 23 is a fine compromise, but we gotta make this happen now because the season's almost over. So you gotta start filming tomorrow to get these in time. So we're gonna make this happen.
Yes.
Well, Miss Oladejo, it was my honor to speak with you. Like I said, big fan, and you are awesome to talk to. As much as I imagined you'd be awesome, you are awesome in real life.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for wanting to speak to me, and thank you for bigging up my work. I love what I do, and I want to keep doing more of it. And I appreciate that, you know, there are people like you that see my work and appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you for actually saying that.
Well, like I said, it's my truly honor. So I want you to have a fantastic night, and I'll let you know the moment it comes, this goes live.
God bless you. Thank you. Have a great day.